Welcome to our novel, Sons of Power. Hit that like button and subscribe to our channel if you have not done so already.
The Harringtons have indeed played a significant role in British politics for centuries, serving the Crown faithfully in challenging times. James Harrington, the son of Emperor Richard I of Thessaly, was the first Duke of Arlington and worked tirelessly to secure the throne of King Henry VII of House Tudor. Throughout generations, the Harrington lineage has produced numerous kings and emperors, leaving a lasting impact on global politics. At the time of my birth in 1735, tensions in the Pacific were escalating, and my grandfather, Duke William, passed away. My father, Lord Vince Harrington, had no concerns about maintaining control over the Victorian realm, as rebellions in that part of the world were swiftly crushed. However, the escape of Lady Samoa, a significant event in our family's history, continued to haunt him. The rise of Kauri Alexandros, the son of Lady Samoa, and the late King Paul Makarios of New Thessaly, caused great irritation to my father. Reports of increasing setbacks in the Pacific reached Arlington, and my father's distant cousin, Governor Nathaniel Harrington, described an overwhelming wave of support for the Greco-Polynesian prince, which required more manpower from the British Crown. In an attempt to quell the revolt, my father funded numerous expeditions, but despite all efforts, Roman Polynesia gained independence, and the governor was executed. This failure infuriated my father and King James, and some believe it hastened the death of the British monarch, who suffered a stroke on April 4, 1753. Princess Margaret ascended the throne later that year, surrounded by a sea of young nobles at court wishing to marry her. With my father frequently traveling between Great Britain and the Pacific, I assumed his advising role at court and gained the affection of Queen Margaret. Parliament advised her to settle the issue of her marriage, and I was captivated by her beauty, confessing my love for her, a declaration she warmly received. We married in the summer of 1760, and I became the Prince Consort, the first Harrington to hold such distinction. During the ongoing conflict with Roman Polynesia, I sensed that this war would come at a great cost. Reports of a growing military force under Emperor Kauri Alexandros' command troubled us at court. However, my father, considering himself the military specialist in the family, dismissed my numerous warnings. Our relationship further deteriorated in the spring of 1765 when my father made distasteful comments on my behalf, suggesting that I should focus on ensuring a successful pregnancy for the Queen, rather than speculating on wars I supposedly did not understand. His comment, aimed at the recent miscarriages of the Queen, provoked my anger. From that day forward, we did not exchange a single word. When I learned of his execution by the Roman Polynesian emperor, I felt no remorse. Fortunately, my Lady the Queen's fourth pregnancy resulted in a healthy child. Prince Edward was born on August 24, 1775, followed by Prince Richard V on December 24, 1780. Princess Victoria, our last child, was born on February 4, 1785. The succession was secured, and Parliament was relieved. Although we accepted the loss of the Victorian realm, the Roman Polynesian emperor's interference in our African affairs remained a thorn in my wife's rule. Upon the emperor's death, we felt a sense of relief as this formidable obstacle was finally removed. Despite signing a brief peace treaty during his later years, we believed the time had come to reconquer our former Central African territory. As of December 1801, we resumed hostilities with his twin sons, Lord Kauri Constantine of Roman Polynesia and Lord Richard MAZEMBE of Kitonga. Sadly, my wife, the Queen, passed away in the spring of 1805. After her funerals, we prepared to crown the inaugural British monarch of the esteemed Harrington dynasty, our son Edward. However, our plans were disrupted by the opportunistic Duke Winsley, who seized the chance to lead a rebellion against the British Crown and Parliament, baselessly claiming our family's inability to provide capable leadership throughout the past century. As the summer unfolded, Henry of House Windsor overran our troops near Birmingham and swiftly advanced southward, aiming to seize London and declare himself the Emperor of the British, an act met with strong opposition from the majority of Britons. In Arlington, we offered refuge to the British Parliament and diligently marshalled our forces during the ensuing winter, determined to reclaim the throne from this audacious usurper. Lord Henry's forces, however, were determined to prevent our regrouping, and in the spring of 1806 they marched relentlessly towards Arlington. Engagements and skirmishes erupted in Bristol, Reading and Winchester before we pressed on to London. Tragically, on June 12, 1806, my firstborn son, Prince Edward, was ruthlessly murdered by assassins employed by Lord Windsor. News of this abhorrent act spread throughout Britain, inciting hundreds of thousands of outraged citizens to take to the streets in protest against the usurper. London especially was ablaze with anticipation of our imminent arrival. However, a brutal repression orchestrated by Lord Winslow's loyal forces ensued. Nevertheless, upon hearing of our approach, the cowardly pretender and his cohorts hastily fled the city on August 20th, 1806. In the days that followed, our navy managed to apprehend Lord Windsor as he attempted to escape into France via the English Channel. We brought him back to London to face justice for his heinous crimes. On September 13th, he and his supporters met their deserved fate on the executioner's block. Finally, on October 1st, 1806, my son, Prince Richard, was duly crowned ruler of the United Kingdoms, marking a momentous occasion as he became the first British monarch hailing from House Harrington. During the period of instability in England, the twin sons of Kauri Alexandros managed to make significant gains. However, my son King Richard, with my guidance, sought to approach the war from a different perspective in order to turn the tide. It became evident to us that disrupting the supply chain of Roman Polynesia would be crucial, and we decided to exploit the vast oceans that separated our forces to gain an advantage in the war. We honed our skills in raiding their ships, effectively disrupting their logistical operations, which heavily relied on trade with former Iberian colonies in South America. At the same time, Napoleon's ruthless efficiency played a decisive role as he personally led some of his troops in the Loango and Kitonga regions. Despite our differences in Europe, we recognized the need to unite against the common threat of Roman Polynesia in our African colonies. By 1811, the conflict reached a stalemate, presenting an opportunity to offer the young Roman Polynesian emperor an honorable way out. Through informants at the court in New Thessaly, we learned that the young ruler was facing mounting pressure from the nobility to end the costly war. With the passing of his mother, it became clear that Constantine needed to prioritize his responsibilities. Therefore, we proposed an everlasting peace, recognizing the independence of his empire and agreeing to leave his holdings in the Kariades untouched. The condition was his withdrawal from the battlefield in the Kitonga region. With his troops removed, it would be easier for us to subdue the Kitonganese forces. It was a difficult choice, but a strategic one that would ultimately benefit him the most. Our gamble paid off, and the young emperor decided it was time to enjoy the riches of an empire that would no longer be troubled by European powers. He could rule without our interference in his Pacific Ocean realm, an outcome too enticing to resist. The treaty was signed in the presence of my son, King Richard V, Emperor Napoleon, and Emperor Kauri Constantine. Emperor Richard MAZEMBE, though initially affected, understood his brother's motives and resolved to continue fighting what he perceived as the threat of colonialism. I have no doubt that my son Richard will lead Britain towards even greater glory. However, I sense that I will not live to witness the conclusion of this conquest. With the threat of Napoleon now under control, we can focus on our mission to establish British dominance in global politics. I consider myself among the most successful figures of the mighty Harrington Palaiologos extended family, and I fervently pray that the hard-fought successes we have achieved will endure in the years to come.
This episode concludes the 5th chapter of our novel. In the next chapter, Emperor Kauai Mahina of Roman Polynesia narrates the events that preceded his ascension to the throne, starting with what is referred to in the Kitonga-Polynesia relations as the Backstabbing Treaty. We hope you enjoy our novel so far, and we will be glad to count you among our subscribers. We will see you on our next episode. Cheers.